Well, hello, friends, and welcome back to the Tiny and Frenchy We Choose Positive YouTube channel. On today's episode, we're going to talk about.
Cancer?
Yeah, of course, we're going to talk about everything that has happened in the past 2.5 years, from when I got diagnosed with cancer up to now. So buckle up. Well, let's start. How are we going to start with what?
Give us grace. This is just the beginning, so we'll get better, promise. But for now, yeah. So, Frenchie, how did you know you had cancer?
Yeah, that's a great question because I get this all the time. People are like, okay, but how do you know you have cancer when you have cancer? And the answer is, for my case, so I got diagnosed on October of 2024. But the previous summer, I was traveling every other week to New York, and I had this ongoing congestion, which was terrible. I was getting like thinking that either it was an ear infection or maybe some. So went to the ER and nothing could be, would get it done. And I was getting more and more congested. It was more and more painful.
You were taking antibiotics. He was going on steroids, on again, off again. Still couldn't figure out what was going on. And literally, right before your diagnosis, what did you do?
Well, we decided we had run, rabbit, run. Oh yeah, Frenchie and Tani, we run. We like running long distances, races. So we had Run Rabbit Run, the 100-miler on the calendar in Steamboat, Colorado. And so we decided in September to go for it, even though I felt like terrible. And it didn't go as well, but I still managed to pull 50 miles. And at the 50-mile mark, I felt very tired, stopped. And my body was not responding, and and then a DNF. Ouch.
It happens.
And right away, after that, in October, I decided to see my ENT here in Denver, and we did a biopsy. In the biopsy revealed that,
First, before the biopsy, we had a MRI done of his head, and lo and behold, Frenchie's left eye had started bulging. You could visually see it kind of protruding out. And he had basically a golf ball sized tumor right in his frontal sinus, pushing up into his frontal lobe. Yeah, he ran 50 miles with that sucker. And so our ENT did a biopsy.
Yeah, and the interesting part, when you ask the question before the biopsy, is like, okay, how long this thing has been in my head? How come it's grown that far? Nobody has an answer. They don't know if it was, it took 6 months to get to this point. They didn't know if it took whatever, 2 weeks to get there. No answer. The biopsy revealed it was cancer, a very rare form of cancers. Yeah, me. You're good at saying the words. The words are too hard for me.
So when they diagnosed him, they said it was a SNUC. And we're like, SNUC? Okay, sino-nasal. So it's in your sinuses, in your nasal cavity, undifferentiated carcinoma. Undifferentiated because the cells keep changing. They couldn't really identify the primary origin of his cancer. So stage 4, bad stuff.
Ouch.
What happened then? What were your options?
Well, when I went to see the options in Denver, and they asked them, unfortunately, doctors in Denver with the SNUC, it's probably 1 or 2 cases a year. So they're not very familiar. It's not like a breast cancer or other kind of more common cancers when you have a roadmap. So you have breast cancer, we're going to do this. A case like this, it's a panel of doctors that start thinking, okay, what are our options? And they came up with an idea with surgery to try to remove that tumor, which would involve kind of cutting me from ear up there to here and peeling the front of my face, reaching out for the tumor. They told me at the time my left eye would be gone. They couldn't save my eye, but hopefully it will be able to remove that thing. Which, after chatting with you, we
looked at other options while we were here in Denver, and part of that team also said, they said there's something called induction chemotherapy. Induction chemotherapy they could try, and if we could shrink the tumor, then we could avoid that surgery. So we definitely went the route of induction chemo. And Frenchie, what is induction chemotherapy?
I don't know.
Okay, induction.
So
he does know.
so chemotherapy, it's a cocktail of drugs that they put in your body. They come based on your cancer. They're going to combine a certain drugs, trying to get what they want, meaning shrinking that tumor. In my case, they found a cocktail of 3 drugs. It's a Considering that the cancer was extremely aggressive and I was stage 4, they put a cocktail that was extremely aggressive, and that would my ass for sure. And so it was 3 cycle of chemo. But for those who don't know, what is a cycle, Mundu?
So a cycle is an infusion once a week for 3 weeks in a row, and then you get a week break. That's one cycle. So he went through this 3 times. And yeah, lucky, fortunate, happy us, it worked.
So the tumor shrank. After those 12 weeks, you do another round of PET scan and MRI. God forbid you are claustrophobic because you spend a lot of time in those machines. But yeah, there was positive results. The tumor shrank. Surgery was maybe off the table because they didn't have a target anymore, considering how small those guys were in my head. But yet we had to find a way of eradicate that tumor. And so the twist is
being your own advocate, because
yes.
Literally it wasn't a doctor who came to us. It wasn't a group of people. It wasn't nobody but us on Google search, trying to figure out what we could do aside from what our doctors here in Denver were saying. And what we found was proton therapy, which
proton
is not offered here in Denver. Colorado, not even in Colorado. We did find that MD Anderson in Texas offers this service, and when we approached them with Frenchie's tumor and his history, they were like, oh wow, we see this every day. I mean, if you're gonna find
come
yeah,
come, we got you.
If you're gonna find a place that is an expert on SNUC, it's MD Anderson. And so with that said, Frenchie packed up his bags, and yeah, it was 7 weeks relocation to MD Anderson in Texas.
36 rounds of proton therapy. So for those who don't know what proton therapy, especially when you're trying to target an area that is behind the eye, it's interesting, it's fascinating. I don't know, there's like a bunch of nerds that find a way with different kind of beam. So just to hit you in a certain way that it won't touch the eye, but would go behind the eye and hit the tumor.
And not the brain, just the tumor.
Regular radiation, it's a mass thing coming to you, just bloop, and goes back out, bloop. Proton is just very precise. So they were able to save my eye. The only thing with proton is, I have to tell you, the treatment is at first really hard. You lay down on the table for about 30-35 minutes, and you not just lay down, you are pinned on the table. There's a mask that they mold up to your shoulder. They screw the whole thing. You are completely like, it's just, I don't know, it's hard. They put a mouth guard, so the mask is over the mouth guard, so you can barely swallow, you can barely breathe because the mask has these tiny little holes, and you can barely see. And you are pinned because they don't want you to move. But if you're claustrophobic at first, it's a lot of breathing exercise to try to calm down. At least they play a big music, very loud, and you pick. So I was picking a lot of Bon Jovis myself. I don't know what you guys would pick if you were pinned on the table for 35 minutes, what band you would choose. Mine was Bon Jovi most of the nights, but 36 round of this. Yes.
As well as chemo.
Yes, combined with chemo.
He was still getting chemo at this time.
So you get beat up for 7 weeks, but the good news after 7 weeks were that it worked.
It worked. So we did follow-up scans, and it was gone. There was no evidence of disease. So they call it NED, no evidence of disease. So yeah. So we were lucky, and that lasted for 3 months. So the plan after this type of treatment is you're going to be on heightened surveillance. They're going to do scans every 3 months, PET scan, MRI. And so we did the first scans, they were clean. And the follow-up 6-month scan, they skipped the PET, they just do the MRI. And Frenchie, what kind of symptoms were you having at that time?
I don't remember.
Well, we went back to MD because we wanted to have surgery to reconstruct his tear duct on his left eye.
But before that, I still managed to run another 100 miles.
Oh, wait.
I
that's right.
squeezed one because I wanted to prove that it's not because you have a lot of hardship in your life or blah blah blah, and I wanted to inspire, say, hey, you know what? Let's sign up for another 100. I kind of feel better. I was still a little bit way off, but I managed to pull, thanks to Tiny, my friend Frank, and a bunch of other people, to put that pull that 100-mile race. So that was a lot of fun. Unfortunately,
was it a lot of fun?
No. That was not. And then we got back because, I don't know if you noticed, but this left eye looks goofy. It's because my tear duct here is blocked and it packed a lot of water and whatever. It looks funny. But anyway, so I wanted to have surgery, and we're back now in October of 2000 something, last year.
25, 24.
That's last year. No, last year.
Yeah. 25.
And so I had planned to do that surgery with a great doctor just to get this reopened. And they did a few scans prior to that. And it's a terrible story. Huh?
Yeah, so we went back to MD Anderson, and he had his workup for his surgery. And they're like, well, it looks like you didn't have a PET scan at your 6-month mark. So let's do a PET scan just to make sure everything's good. It wasn't. So what we ended up seeing was multiple spots of inflammation, highlighted, enhanced areas in his spine.
Hang on, why, if my cancer is here originally, why do we see cancer stuff in my spine then? What happened?
Well,
it broke the
yeah. So what everybody is saying is Frenchie's tumor, when it was pushing up into his frontal lobe, it didn't look like it had broken the dura. And the dura is a coating on the brain that protects your brain. And it looks like the tumor must have broken the dura and gotten into his cerebral spinal fluid. And so all of a sudden, they were throwing out this word called leptomeningeal. And
it's a bad word. Do not Google leptomeningeal disease.
Don't do it. So Frenchie and I were in Oregon on our way to a nice little family vacation, as well as spend some time on the Oregon coast. And he gets the results of his scans, and the radiologist who reads it throws in this leptomeningeal disease. And so we're like, oh, leptomeningeal disease. We Googled it. Yeah. Don't Google it. But
the prognosis is if you're hit with leptomeningeal disease and you leave it untreated, it's about 4 to 6 weeks. So first of all, it means that your cancer now is considered terminal cancer, because leptomeningeal disease does not have a cure. They have stuff to help you go on for a little bit, but it's gonna get worse, and you can't get cured. So at this point, we turn into like, cling, you're terminal. We're like, oh, this is a bad word.
I mean, it didn't happen immediately, though. We were clearly in denial. So we're like, well, but he just ran 100 miles. Can you have inflammation in your spine from running 100 miles? And his doctors couldn't really argue that point. They said, yeah, you could get inflammation in the spine from all sorts of things. And we're like, well, it seems reasonable that 100 would do it. Again, who has scans like 2 weeks after having run 100 miles? So anyways, it left for us question marks. For the doctors, they're like, nah, it's leptomeningeal. And so we went back to we went back to Denver and did a spinal draw on his spinal fluid to take a look at the cells and see if they could isolate some of those cancer cells. And supporting our theory that it was something other than cancer, they weren't able to isolate anything. So we felt pretty happy about that. Unfortunately, yeah, we went to MD Anderson. They did the same thing, negative for cancer cells. We're like, woohoo! But the doctors are all just shaking their heads at us in our naivete because they're like, no, it's cancer, sorry.
And eventually, when you have those lesions on your spine, they start pinching the nerves. And you start having this funky, it's called neuropathy, these funky feelings that, oh, hang on, I got pins and needles on my right foot. Oh, hang on, I got pins and needles on my left forearm. And you're like, this is not right. And unfortunately, it's part of the process or the symptoms of leptomeningeal disease. They start having all these weird shooting things left and right. Parts are pin and needles like neuropathy. Others are more like shooting pains. Same thing, random spot. I have one right now on my rib cage that I've been there for now almost a year now, and another one on my back. It's just the nerves are getting squeezed from the spine, and it just trigger all these uncomfortable,
yeah, sure.
pain.
So then clearly that needed to be treated. So what did we do then?
So the first step, it was mostly located on the lower back. So we went back to Houston for 10 rounds of radiation, and then came back to Denver, and I did another 10 rounds on the upper part of the back as well. And we left it at that for a minute. And as we found out after another round of scan and MRI that, those guys, they told us it's like whack-a-mole. You're gonna whack a few, pom, 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 and another few are gonna pop somewhere else. And it never ends. And you try not to, fall behind as you whack, because otherwise my body is gonna start you'll see if you keep following the channel. And otherwise we were trying to be on point by doing all this radiation, try to eradicate all these little guys. And after all these 20 more rounds of radiation, we decided to go back on chemotherapy in Denver, and what they call therapy as well, a combination. So immunotherapy, you remember what it does? It teaches...
it just teaches your body to fight the cancer also. They do a genetic testing, and they find out what type of immunotherapy your body is going to be most successful with. And so we found one, and Frenchie was pretty successful on immuno for how many rounds?
7 cycles. So I did 3 cycles of chemo. So if you pay attention now, it's 12 weeks of chemotherapy combined with, and at the time, the cocktail of drugs was much less aggressive because another irony is when you are terminal, they're like, why would give you something hard that could create organ failure? You're gonna die anyway, so let's just give you something a little softer, gentle, that's gonna help you without really hurting you too much. That's part of the thing, I don't know. So they give me that carboplatin instead of cisplatin, which was milder, easier to tolerate, and I did 7 cycles of immunotherapy, which was working until those cancer cells are getting smaller and until it doesn't work. So after 7 weeks, which we almost caught up. Thanks. If you're up to this point on the video, thank you.
We're almost to the
like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. You are awesome. But yeah, so I became what they call refractive, meaning that my body at some point is not responding to any of these cisplatin, carboplatin, or eposodoid, whatever it's called, the immunotherapy. And we gotta find something else. We go down the list of what else on chemo can we give this poor guy who can be saved anyway. So to catch up with present time, I'm on a new cycle. I don't know how many cycles of chemo, and it's called Taxol. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. I'm sure if some of you have friends, family, or members who have cancer, Taxol is pretty common as well. So I'm done on that Taxol. Hence, I still have some hair because it's not as aggressive as the other one. Yay. So I'm done with the first 2 cycles of this one. 1 more cycle to go.
But what are you treating? What are we treating with the Taxol? What did we discover?
Well,
we discovered something. We weren't real happy
So
about
I have 2 tumors in my lungs and 1 in my liver. So with Taxol, primarily is going to try to shrink those 3 little bitches. Does it do anything for the lesions in my spine and for the leptomeningeal disease? They don't have enough information, so it's not going to do much.
The Taxol is not known to cross the blood-brain barrier. And so you have this, how do you describe it? Basically, that dura that covers the brain covers your entire spinal cord. And what you're looking for is a drug that can cross over that dura. And that's called the blood-brain barrier. And get into your cerebral spinal fluid and treat his leptomeningeal disease. Unfortunately, Taxol, it doesn't do that. And if it does, it's a very small amount of it. So when we saw that, we were a little sad. Frenchie's, most of his symptoms are his leptomeningeal disease. It's his spinal lesion. I don't know that we can say that he feels his lung lesion or his liver lesion. But that said, we're on Taxol and we're treating it.
That's going to be for another episode. You know, when you go through what we are going through, you know, they always want you to monitor your symptom. And it's critical that you don't get into that mode of, how do you call it, when you imagine or, you know, you become, I think I have this, this. Hypochondriac, you know. So you got to be very real about what's happening to you. It's the more you read, the more you're like, okay, I'm gonna have this is probably cancer. Oh, I have a side stage, that's cancer. You know, my teeth are hurting, it's cancer. Everything can be cancer. So, you know, you got to be real. And clearly I have some medication right now to help with pain, to help with this neuropathy. We'll talk about I think on another episode. It's too much today.
Later.
Yes. And but overall, I think what we want to share with you is, why am I still whole? You know, we choose positive. What I learned from that journey so far is every day for me is a gift. 10 time spent together is a gift. I can only be in the present right now. I cannot push myself in the future because I don't know how far my future is. I can make plans still. I can laugh. I can have a good time. I might be able to drink wine a little bit as well. You know, I won't stop living. I'm not going to stop living. Not only that, we just came back from Hawaii. I'm not going to stop traveling. I'm not going to stay in my bed for hours, highly medicated, just waiting for death to come and say, hey, you know, Frenchie, which side do you want to go? Up or down? No. And this is what this channel is going to be all about. So if you have friends, family members who are, you know, hit with the same kind of bad news, rare form of cancer, any kind of cancers, you want to put in comments, you know, hey, Frenchie, let's talk about this, let's talk about that. I want to hear about this. Hey, my dad, my mother, my sister. I think this is what I want this channel to be about. You know, a big platform of like, hey, you know, let's not just, you know, clearly it's sad, but, you know, let's not be sad. Let's just be, okay, you can be.
No, I'm not going to be sad.
I don't have time to be sad.
I will pick and choose when I'm sad, maybe. But that said, yeah, we really want to be there for you. The people who are supporting those with cancer, I'm here for you. Those with cancer who have questions, Frenchie is here for you. End of the day, we're both here. So shoot us up. Hit us up, don't shoot us up.
Like, subscribe, comment, and remember, you know, on next episode, what do you want us to talk about? Clearly, we're gonna talk about caretakers and partners, because it's not just about the victim. It's also, you know, the people who suffer a lot are, you know, my children, my wife, my friends. You know, we need to talk about this. You know, she needs as much, you know, whatever love and support than I do. It's not easy. It's not easy. So we're going to talk about all my symptoms. It's going to be awful. I'm going to show you all my routine of all the stuff that I go through. It's, you know, I make it look like I'm fine, but it takes a lot of effort to just, you know, not pretend, but just put a nice smile on my face in the morning. There's some challenges, and I'm sure you have challenges in your life, and but just, you know, keep smiling. Choose positive. And what else do you want to say?
I think we've said it for this episode.
Okay, so we'll see you on the next one. Please keep watching and supporting and spread the word. We love you guys. We love you.